Hi there again, BookTube Lola here, and welcome back to my channel. Today I bring you a review on Dante's Inferno. Now, why I'm doing this review is because I did my dissertation on this book, as well as Virgil's Aeneid. I compared the two books, so I will be focusing on more mythological context of this book in this video and telling you all about the different kind of characters and mythology you might meet in the hell that Dante visits during his quest through hell in the story. So this is a book from the Middle Ages, and yeah, I studied this to basically get a grasp on what kind of things Dante wanted to put into his Christian hell, and how he used the context of the Virgil's Aeneid and mythology in general to do this. Now, it was set in the 1300s on Good Friday, and Dante's lost in the woods, and he tries to climb up a mountain path, but he's blocked by a leopard, a lion and a she-wolf, and so he turns back to find Virgil, who then guides him through the underworld. Virgil needs to take him to Beatrice, because Beatrice is Dante's wife, who is now in heaven. She died a while ago, and he misses her, and there's a whole story about him wanting to see his wife again. So when Dante goes to go into hell, there is a warning sign up in front of the cave which says, "Abandon all hope, you who enter here." So then he goes into hell, and he basically goes through all the different levels of hell to get to purgatory and then to heaven, basically, which continues into the whole Divine Comedy. So when he first goes into hell, he's not actually in a circle yet. When he first enters, he's actually in a section of hell or a section of death where people can't enter even hell because they were of the mind to not believe anything really. They had no moral choices really, not good or evil. They would just have an absent mind, didn't want to believe anything. So they aren't even permitted into hell. And here they are continuously bitten by bugs. And then they go on to the river Aeneid, which is in mythology as well. It's a river from the river of hell previous to this, in Virgil's book, as well as in all mythology. It is where Charon takes souls across the river into Dis, which is the ancient version of hell, the underworld of such. And then obviously the first circle of hell is limbo. Some people think that limbo isn't hell, it's kind of a different state altogether, but in Dante's book it is actually a part of hell. It is the first section, the first circle. People here did not get baptised, were born before Christianity started up. Virgil himself resides there because he was a good man in life, but he didn't know about Christianity, so he couldn't go to heaven or purgatory or anything like that. Second circle of hell, there's a monster called Minos, who is also from mythology. He's a man from mythology actually, and he is basically there to torment the souls and to section the souls into where they will go in hell. The second circle is where the lustful remain, and it's constantly raining and horrible winds are going, so they're just being covered in really hard rain, and they're being thrown around helplessly around this circle, and this is going to happen to them forever, and that's how the lustful are being punished. Among these lustful souls is Helen of Troy. Of course, she is one of the most famous women in mythology to be a lustful woman. She runs off with Paris, who ends up being her love. The reason for this in mythology was that Aphrodite presented Helen to Paris to judge her beauty in the beauty contest. But in the Christian ideal, they won't believe in the ancient gods. So for a Christian, it would be Helen's choice to run off with Paris and leave her husband behind. So the third circle, you go down and see Cerberus finally. Cerberus is the three-headed dog who guards hell, or guards the underworld, but in this he's just part of the gluttonous circle, but they do need to cross him. And to suggest his gluttony, he's basically this giant worm, and he's submerged in filth and disgusting waste and all that kind of stuff. And when they go up to him, they can literally grab some dirt off the ground and throw it to him, and he'll eat it. And that is just the presentation of how gluttony is wanting to eat and eat and eat, and it doesn't matter what it is you eat, as long as you're filling that need, that want in your belly. And so they get past him just by throwing dirt to him. Whereas in mythology you would have to present him with meat or something nice, because he's a dog, but this presents that pure and raw idea. So then when they pass Cerberus, they go into the fourth circle of hell, which is greed, where weights are pushed around by the victims, the souls of hell. Then they go off into the fifth circle of hell, which is by the river Styx. And the Styx here is used to submerge the souls in like a muddy river where the souls are deep in mud. They're hitting and biting each other, and that's, And this is the circle of the wrathful, where they're submerged in this mud, but they still want to fight, they want to hurt each other. So yeah, they cross this river with a boatman called Pelagius. I can't actually pronounce his name, but this boatman carries them to the city of Dis, which is also then based off the underworld, because Hades himself has a city called Dis. And then they bump into the three Furies, who end up calling for Medusa to frighten Dante, because they don't want a living soul in hell. It should be for the dead only. And so an angel saves them, making sure that they get across, because obviously Beatrice wants her husband to come to her. They enter into the sixth circle of hell, which is for the heretics, and they walk among tombs and flames and that kind of stuff. And then the seventh circle of hell is for the violent, people who are violent towards themselves, other people, their neighbours, and then there's blasphemers, those who are violent against gods. They are all punished in the seventh circle of hell. So they're having like fire rain down upon them, some have to lie in it, and it's like scorching hot sand underneath them as well, and that's how they're being punished. And then they move on to the eighth circle of hell, which is for the fraudulent souls who were fraudulent in life. And there's the pimps and seducers, the flatterers, many different pouches to punish these, all in different ways, because they did different things with fraud. So there's flatterers, people who bought and sold pardons, so that's like priests who were not really faithful to God in a way, because they were making money out of the religion. There's barterers, hypocrites, thieves, evil counsellors, scandalers, who believe in another religion and this idea. There's falsifiers, and then in the centre of the pit is a giant who can take them down to the next circle, which is circle number 9. And all these people are punished in different ways. And there is one soul in one of the pouches that is recognisable to us, which is Odysseus. He is in pouch 8 with the evil counsellors, so he gave counsel to those who wanted to do harm, basically. His use of rhetoric was very harmful to other people, and they're encased in flame to be punished forever. Circle 9, once the giant takes them down into the next circle, is the ring for traitors. There's a traitors to kin, betrayal of the homeland, betraying guests and guest friendship, and traitors to benefactors. And they're all being punished in a lake of ice, which brings us to Lucifer himself, who is also submerged in this ice. This is what they believe. They believe that Lucifer went to the centre of the earth and he was submerged in ice. We know now that the centre of the earth is fire and lava and hot, but they used to believe that it was freezing and ice. So Lucifer goes straight down to the centre of the earth and is submerged in ice. And this is where he himself is punishing people as well, the 3 most hated and sinful men who ever lived, and they are, according to Dante, it's Judas, who betrayed Christ, and he has been constantly and forever eaten by Lucifer. And then there's Brutus and Cassius, who murdered Julius Caesar. And so they are thrown into the final pit of hell, constantly and continuously being eaten by Lucifer himself. And Dante is very concerned by this. He's terrified to see Lucifer himself, the devil, there right in front of him before he's able to pass into purgatory. But that is a basic summary of how each circle works in Dante's Inferno and how he has set his hell out in his book, in this book here. And I will show you as well how Dante thinks hell looks. I've got it in here somewhere. And that's kind of a basic map of how hell works. Yeah, you had to go through hell basically to go to heaven. He has to go through all of that like a dead soul would have to as well. It's also an Italian writer, so this was translated from Italian for me. If you see here, it's going to be, I don't know if you can see, but yeah, it's Italian one side, English the other, so I did have to read the translation of this. And yeah, so thank you so much. I really, really love this book. I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely adore it, and this is why I chose it for my dissertation. It's just amazing how much a Christian writer could have based his idea of a Christian hell on something before Christianity, something so pagan, and they hated pagan ideals. So it was really interesting to see how he took the work of pagan authors and incorporated so much of it into his hell. There's more than what I've said today. I have a whole dissertation on it, like I say, but it's absolutely fantastic. It's fascinating, it's interesting, and I just love it. And if you see on the front cover, it's the devil is there eating the sinners that I talked about. I would highly recommend giving this a read. You'll have to have your brain switched on because it takes so much mental capacity to take this book in, because of the way it's written and because it's been translated as well, and because there's just so much information in this book, it's unreal. So please go ahead and read this, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much for coming, bye!